Hey Merfolk fans, I'm Joe. Thanks very much for joining me today. If you'd like to support my channel, please take a second and click the link above to my Patreon page. I'm back with round 3 of a Modern League. The opponent's on the play, and this is a bit frightening of a keep, since of course our AEther Vial can get thought seized away, but too much gas for me to throw this away. The opponent mulliganed to 6. And kept on 6. Okay, leading Swamp. I almost had a heart attack. Drew Relic for the turn, but we'll just go ahead and slam AEther Vial. Pass back to the opponent. So 2 Swamps usually means like 8 rack. So I thought they were going to blow up my land and make me discard a card with Smallpox, but I think they just passed through. Like, they didn't have the best mulligan. It must have been, I don't know, a lot of expensive cards that they can't play with 2 mana. So tick AEther Vial up, we can't really do anything except play the Relic out here. Just hope that my AEther Vial doesn't get destroyed. Typically, 8 rack doesn't have ways to blow up our AEther Vial. But they just passed the turn, not drawing a third land, and okay, that island was right on time. In this situation, I could totally see the case for running out a creature, but black mana just represents removal, and they're having a hard time with their lands anyway. So I thought Spreading Seas, we can hit another land, free up some mana for Relic. So play the Spreading Seas, and what did I draw? Oh, another Relic. Who knows if this is even good. It's decent against 8 rack because it can get rid of Raven's Crime. So cycling Unearth. So this is one of those new cards that became, rather it's an old card that became legal with Modern Horizons. Still, I have no idea what I'm playing against here, but we can just get rid of Unearth right away. Opponent's going to cycle it and maybe hit a land. Oh, so it's actually black-green. And here's a Liliana of the Veil, which not very frightening because they can tick it up, make us pitch a card. We've already got a Relic on the board, so I'm just going to throw away this Relic. The fact that this is black-green actually makes Relic way better, but not better than the creatures in my hand. So definitely going to pitch this Relic. As you guys can sort of see here, I can Vial in a Trickster and then slam 2 Lords and get rid of Liliana immediately. And if given the option of, you know, committing a lot to the board all at once, and potentially risking, you know, getting them wiped away with a board wipe or something, you know, you definitely want to get rid of the Planeswalker as quickly as possible. So, so leave it on 2, draw a third land. Things are just like running really, really well for us right now. And the opponent missed like 3 turns at the beginning of the game, so don't think they can really fight through this. Get rid of Liliana. The opponent played a Treetop Village and then scooped. So very easy win, thankfully, against black-green. It can be a very difficult matchup. They grind really well. They've got a new Horizon land, which gives them even more card-drawing power. Fortunately, able to snipe this one. So let's go ahead and see how Game 2 went. All right, back for Game 2. Let's check out the sideboarding approach. So this is kind of a work in progress because we've got a lot of moving pieces in the deck right now. Force of Negation is pretty new, and black-green has some new things against us with, Hex Drinker is this crazy snake that has level up, and it can get protection from everything, which means you can't block it. So it's quite a threat. So my plan here was all the forces out. I found that they can be pretty good in Game 1. Like if you Vial in, or rather flash in a Trickster, try to eat a Tarmogoyf, and they have removal, you can pitch Force of Negation and just eat the Tarmogoyf if they try to, you know, kill your blocker. But you do have to 2-for-1 yourself, and it's not really what we want to be doing against these attrition decks. So took out 4 of those, took out 2 AEther Vials. I do leave in 2 Vials. It can be really, really valuable deploying creatures at instant speed on the opponent's end step if they have Planeswalkers out, because like Liliana, the Last Hope, can reduce our creatures' power if they're on the board during their turn, but if we flash them in on the end step, you know, we can attack with full power. Obviously, Liliana of the Veil can make us sacrifice creatures, but AEther Vial lets us play around that. So even though they're kind of dead draws later in the game, they're really valuable if we draw them early. And if they're not good draws later on, we have Benthic Biomancer to potentially loot them away. So Force of Negation out, 2 AEther Vials out, and 1 Island out. So I brought in 3 Dismembers. And so let me count that up. That's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. I brought in 3 Dismembers, and I believe all 4 Phyrexian Revokers. They're just extra creatures that can name a few important things in the matchup: Scavenging Ooze, Hex Drinker, and both Lilianas. So it can't name their man lands, so that's kind of a drawback, but it can name those other things that I just mentioned. So this is a keep because it's got a lot of card draw, which is what we want in the matchup. And the opponent kept 7, so Verdant Catacombs with no hand disruption. It's pretty good for turn 1. I expect they'll have something pretty good on turn 2 if they kept an opening 7 without hand disruption. So just a Tarmogoyf, that's not nearly as bad as a Dark Confidant it would have been. So drew another Lord, or rather our first Lord after having drawn Master of Waves. I'm going to play Silvergill and reveal another Silvergill. So this hand is developing really, really nicely. Opponent has another Overgrown Tomb, which probably means that they're going for Liliana here. Oh no, it's Tireless Tracker, which I guess we kind of prefer over Liliana in this particular spot, but Tireless Tracker can get really out of control. The opponent is attacking in with Tarmogoyf here. This is Snap Block. Maybe they felt they were getting too low on cards. For my turn 3 here, I chose, I think, to play out just another Silvergill. I'll reveal one of the Lords, and drew another Relic. So even though I can't crack Relic in response to removal, if the opponent tries to hit it with like an Assassin's Trophy this turn, really need to use my mana, especially since I've got another Relic in hand. Also, Assassin's Trophy on Relic would be pretty sweet since it would just open up our mana a little bit more. Well, Fetch Land is pretty rough since it's going to create 2 clues, which is effectively 2 cards. And they get in with Tireless Tracker. No blocks here, really, since they can just pump him if they need to. Scavenging Ooze is typically a pretty threatening card against us. They've got 2 mana up. We've got this Relic here. So it can get pretty big. I activated the Relic to get rid of my own Silvergill Adept before he resolves the Scavenging Ooze. And then before I can even untap, he eats his Tarmogoyf to make Skooz into a 3/3. Which makes me think that they may not have done that. They may not have done that if they didn't have removal with 1 mana, because it would have been more valuable for them to sort of crack one of these clues with 2 mana. As things stand, they've only got 1 up, which makes me think Fatal Push. So clues are also annoying because it gives them like infinite access to turn on Revolt so that Fatal Push can kill Master of Waves. So I'm going to play out another Relic, and then I'm going to dismember the Tireless Tracker. We need to stop their card draw. We've got the Scavenging Ooze potentially covered with the 2 Relics. So got rid of 2 cards from the opponent's graveyard, played a Lord, and then this is probably the worst play that I've made in as long as I can remember, and I'm not exactly sure how it happened. I guess there was a lot of thinking to do that turn between, exactly what I wanted to do with Dismember and Relic and sequencing or whatever, but I got in with this Silvergill Adept, which is inadvisable for a number of reasons, right? I just mentioned that I read this as the opponent having removal up for the Lord, in which case the Silvergill just gets eaten by the Scavenging Ooze. But even if they don't have removal for the Lord, they still have a Tireless Tracker in the graveyard. They can just eat it, become a 4/4, and then just eat my Silvergill Adept. So this game was going quite well for me, and I threw away one of my creatures, which just mind-boggling. And I apologize to you watchers for the looseness. As soon as I clicked attack and then, okay, like the instant I did it, I just thought to myself, like, oh my god, what am I doing? This is insane. So of course the opponent just ate the Tireless Tracker, After the opponent did all this stuff, I thought maybe he like F6'd and wasn't going to block, so I didn't want to say anything to tip him off. I let him do everything, and then I mentioned to him, I just said that was like, I really rushed clicking, and and he said, in fact, that he did F6 pretty early, and he almost didn't catch the attack. So anyhow, let's see how that Silvergill might have factored into this game. Opponent unfortunately has another Tireless Tracker. This guy is actually better, I think, than Dark Confidant in this matchup, and I'm pretty sure they play more Tireless Trackers than Dark Confidant now for that reason. It can attack way better than Dark Confidant, and it draws more cards and doesn't lose in life. So, opponent 8, my Silvergill Adept, the Scavenging Ooze is now a 5/5. And it would have been a 5/5. Imagine if I have this Silvergill back here. He'd probably still crash in here. I probably wouldn't block. Island is pretty nice. I'm going to jam Master of Waves and leave up Relic of Progenitus. I could have attacked with the Lord here if I thought that they would trade with the Tireless Tracker. The problem with that, though, is that if they have removal for the Master of Waves, then I have absolutely no blocks, and you can see that they have lethal on the board now. So attacking with Lord is a little bit reckless, because obviously at 19 life, they're not going to block. They're not going to trade their card value engine. And again, if they have removal, then I have no blockers. So that's something that changes the math a little bit, is if I had the Silvergill around, I may have gotten, obviously I would have gotten more elementals to begin with, but I could have attacked with the Lord or Silvergill there, and even if they remove the Master of Waves, I could have still had a blocker back. Okay, another land, which means another card in a clue. The opponent, with all this land out, can afford to crack a clue, grow the Tireless Tracker. And whether they top decked it just now or had it in hand, they found the Assassin's Trophy, which was pretty rough. Nothing I can really do about it, so Master of Waves dies. And I'm going to try to eat my creature. Opponent didn't respond. They crash in with a lot of power. I mean, I could have another Silvergill here, remember, which would have been a 3/2. Could have prevented this guy from getting in. And even if he did get in, well, if he did get in, he could have cracked another clue, in which case I could have double blocked to try to deal with this guy. I probably would have in kind of this desperate situation. If you get the Tireless Tracker off the board, they do have a lot more card draw, but then we really only have this big Scavenging Ooze to deal with, and we have a number of ways to get back into that. Into the game from that position, we could draw Silvergills and into more cards, or just really get a Master of Waves out. So I'm forced to chump here, and the end is near. Okay. Opponent tried to eat in response, so I just cycled one of my relics. They didn't try in response again. So I guess I'm hoping Master of Waves here. So cycle the relics, draw relics, play a Spreading Seas. And I hit a Master of Waves, which comes with 2 tokens. So I'm at 1 life here, and I really just... I can't use Waterlogged Grove for mana anymore, so I pretty much just need to hit Master of Waves off the top again. Cracking clues. Oh my god. Choke. So if I don't rip... I can't even play Master of Waves now because any land I draw, I'm going to have to use the Waterlogged Grove for mana, and I don't have life to do that. So I knew I was dead here and just chose to see what was on the top of my deck. So I scooped there. I don't think that I necessarily would have won this game if I didn't throw my Silvergill away, but it certainly didn't help. Sorry, I need a sip of water. I hold myself to a really high standard when it comes to every single play that I make in a game of Magic. I take it very seriously, and you guys should too. And doing these replay videos gives me this excellent opportunity to reassess my plays and learn from little mistakes that I might not have noticed during the game. That attack with the Silvergill, I absolutely noticed during the game, and hopefully won't do anything like that again in the near future. There's really no excuse. So again, apologies for the crappy play, and hopefully things will go better in Game 3. All right, back for Game 3. We could check out the sideboard. I probably brought that land back in now since I'm on the play, and I just trimmed one of the Revokers. So now I've only got 3 Revokers in instead of all 4. Or is that right? Let me check that again. 4 Force, 2 Aether Vial is 6, and then 7. Then I've got 3 Dismembers, and then 3 Revokers. Just gotta remember what the plan is here. 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay, only 6 cards out. So that means 6 cards in are 3 Dismembers, 3 Revokers. That makes sense. So I'm gonna be on the play for Game 3, and unfortunately have to mulligan, even though all of these cards are really, really good against black-green. We need 1 more land. Okay, so I had to keep here. It was Scry an Island, which is perfect. So I might be able to put up a fight in this game. Opponent plays Blooming Marsh and passes, which is extra good because we can draw a card off of the Silvergill. I'll get in with Benthic Biomancer. Opponent's down to 19. We're going to play Silvergill Adept, revealing, it doesn't really matter, but the Lord. So, all right, Mutavault is pretty sweet. Things are developing really well. The reason Mutavault is sweet here is when they play Planeswalkers, we want Mutavault to be around to dodge any of the Planeswalker's Edict effects, or Liliana, the Last Hope, trying to kill it. So, okay, so now the opponent has a Thoughtseize. They take the Lord, because I guess I revealed that to them and they were afraid of it. There's the Mutavault, and I chose to adapt here. Drew into another Mutavault, so I'll pitch that island. Opponent goes down to 13, and I'll play out the second Benthic Biomancer. So getting a lot of pressure on the board. But the opponent plays Choke, and that potentially hurt us quite a lot. We can crack in for a good amount of damage next turn, and Phyrexian Revoker can be cast with colorless mana, so another upside of bringing these guys in is it gives us creatures to play even if the opponent lands Choke. Now, it's not a lot of upside, but it's some upside. I'm going to get in for 7, put the opponent down to 5, and hope that maybe all they have is like a Liliana or something. Oh man, but they had to languish. So, yeah, they slowed us down by Thoughtseizing the Lord, and then slowed us down even more by slamming Choke, and then they land Languish. So, reviewing this, Choke makes me wonder if we don't want to keep in like 2 Force of Negations, or potentially bring in 1 or 2 Echoing Truths. They're both card disadvantage in their own way. Like, Echoing Truth doesn't actually, it kind of loses us a card at the to gain some tempo, and Force of Negation just pitches a card. But I've seen Choke actually twice in the last few days, and it lost me both games. So certainly some adjustments stand to be made in this matchup. Languish, I think maybe they ripped that because if they, although maybe they, I don't know, they don't need to take the Lord if they had Languish. Maybe they were just afraid of me playing like 3 Lords or something. Another Revoker, but with the opponent at 4, I have to activate Mutavault and attack here. Now, let's think back and see if, or rather just take a second and think about how I could have done this differently. If I had played out Revoker there, say potentially name Liliana of the Veil, the opponent could have played a creature here as a blocker, they would still be at 4. Yeah, I mean, getting in with Mutavault seemed like the only path to me here. Tarmogoyf is actually, a great thing for us to see typically if we have Tricksters, but I really hate this side of Magic where you can just totally hose an entire color. Why should people get punished for playing basic lands in Modern? This card really shouldn't exist in Modern. A lot of you guys are Merfolk fans, so if I ask you guys your thoughts, I'm sure you guys also really dislike Choke. But go ahead and leave your opinions down in the comment section about Choke. Is it a fair card? Is it something that Modern should want to have in the format? So we really have nothing else to do here except play out Phyrexian Revoker and hope that, you know, we can get a couple of attackers. Opponent has Fatal Push. So the Phyrexian Revoker dies. Tarmogoyf with the artifact in the graveyard goes up to a 5/6. Inquisition's going to take away my other Phyrexian Revoker. And things got super bleak from there. Now, even if I draw an AEther Vial with Collector Oof on the battlefield, we can't activate it. So it really hurts to lose with the opponent at 2 life. But kudos to the black-green opponent for navigating his turns really efficiently to stop my attack just before lethal. Choke is a really strong magic card. It's a really stupid magic card. And yeah, so we won game 1 pretty dominantly. The opponent had a poor mulligan. I made a stupid mistake in game 2 that may or may not have contributed to that loss. And then, yeah, Choke just choked us out. So I'm going to be reconsidering my approach to the black-green matchup moving forward. I think I'll probably run a couple of the Forces of Negation. It just hits so many things between their Planeswalkers, their removal, and potentially Choke. If we do play with the Forces, we need to potentially be judicious in our casting of them, because we really want to look for a big target like Choke or Liliana the Last Hope, that kind of thing. So anyhow, pretty disappointing round 3. Currently sitting 2-1. Beat Mono Blue Tron, beat Humans, and lost a heartbreaking game 3 against Black Green. Please leave your thoughts down below. Please subscribe if you haven't yet. Please check out the link to my Patreon page, and tune in for the next video where I'll be back with round 4 of this Modern League. I'll see you guys there. Bye.